So I guess that you're working with lots of different organizations and clients. And what advice would you give organizations seeking to create personalized and empathic interactions with their clients?
Yeah, so this is like, again, whether Gen AI or not Gen AI, I think this is a good kind of just standard best practices principle that you have to think of whatever technology you're using underneath. But yeah, so what I always say for this, I mean, there's a lot of implications that we as conversations, designers employ when we're thinking about these things. But I mean, the standard ones are true. Personalization is a big key of that. You said personalization, empathy, just general good experiences, right? So
Mhm.
yeah, so I'd say personalization is one. A lot of companies that I interact with today, they don't necessarily have the tools to create personalized experiences. So for example, so a lot of it is API based. You need these APIs to dip into the data sources to be able to read back, personalized information. And creating APIs is development effort. There's work there, and they just don't
Sure.
have budget to create all the ones that we need potentially. So that I would say is invest there, because that's going to give you really good, rich, robust, personalized experiences that you can't have
Right.
without those. So that would be a big one.
Sure.
Yeah. And then, just generally, I would say data is also important too. We use a lot of data to create our experiences. So basically what was asked about in the past, like in terms of intents, in terms of what we know users are going to ask, how they're going to ask them for our models, and then optimizing them to be empathetic. So if we, for example, do some call listening exercises, this is something I think a bot can't do yet. So for example, I'm listening to a call and I'll hear like, and then they'll say it again. Or if I'll hear a pause, or you can just see sometimes eye rolls in their, you can't see them, but you can see them in your head.
Yeah.
You just
Yeah.
things like that you can pick up as a human. That I think is golden when you're dealing with at least voice based. Text is harder, like we talked about, but voice
Yeah.
based calls, because you can then develop on those, saying this is a point where people are experiencing friction. But again, a bot wouldn't be able to necessarily understand that. So just
Yeah.
emphasizing and making those points faster, better, less friction. So I think all of those, data, personalization, and then just generally, I'd say using, um, how to phrase this, people that know how to develop good experiences. So people and
Good
conversation.
professionals. That's
Yeah,
how
and
it's
somebody
called.
that's been through the ringer and kind of has seen a lot of examples, I think help. So, because I think that could be somebody at the company. It could be a outsourced, conversation designer. It could be just somebody that knows customers really well and knows what they need and what they experience and how to make things the most efficient and most, less memory taxing and all those kinds of things. All the best practices, I think, is another key principle. So yeah, but again,
Yeah.
these bots necessarily won't come with that. I think even if we're talking Gen AI, a lot of these things, you see the responses from Gen AI come back and it's just slaughters you with information. It's like, well, I can't just piece it down for me, right? So we use the term more of like, we're starting to use the term agentic. So being more of like an agent, like stepping me
Mm.
through things, ask me questions and only ask me what you need to know. And then I will tell, things like that. So just how do
Yeah.
we make that experience more agentic is something
Yeah.
that we consider as part of a good experience too. So yeah, all of those
Yeah.
things I think are things to consider when you're making these
Yeah.
bots.
I can imagine that, let's say that this person is a support or a salesperson. This like AI, I call it a person, okay?
Mhm, mhm.
And I talk to him, and he knows what I bought in the past, what I returned, what I was searching for on the website, what is the things that I called for in the past, and so forth. So actually, he knows me as a client, and when he talks to me, he knows much more than a usual human being. You could sometimes get like a summary, but he knows everything that I've done. So when these call centers get a call, they usually don't really know all the history and the person and all that. But these kinds of solutions and generative AI could go and know all this information, and the interaction therefore could be really personalized in that sense.
Mhm.
And it could be a very good like a point to start the conversation, even if you're a bot and you're less trusted and people may be sometimes reluctant to talk to you, so forth.
Yep, exactly. No, I think so too. Yeah, the concept of like, yeah, summarization and knowing somebody before you engage with them and then summarizing it after you engage with them also for the next interaction, I think is important too. Yeah, you have to have the um Yes, somebody knowing you, like you said, really well for any engagement, whether it's a bot, whether it's a human, passing bot back to human, whether it's passing human to human. Like we see these things too, where you're passing from one human, like, let me transfer you, and then you have to say it all over again to the human.
Oh, I hate
Right?
when
I
they
know
do
that's like
that.
torture for anybody. Or when you've already said it to the bot and then the bot doesn't pass it to the, yeah. So all of those things, like
Mm.
contextual passing of information, is important. But we do that today. But I think, yeah, Gen AI could even enhance that more, because you get just more dense summarization and just more summarization across way, way back past experiences, right? You could just summarize
Yeah.
from the back of time potentially if you wanted to. So yeah, having that summarization is going to be really impactful to, like you said, really knowing what this person went through. Did they have somebody, call them 10 times last week, and then we're calling them again? Are they going to be frustrated because we already called them 10 times? You know,
Yeah.
even picking up emotional sentiment, putting emotional sentiment back into
Right.
the summarization. So yeah, all of that I think would make for a much more
Yeah.
solid, rich experience. Yeah.
Yeah, and even more than that, if you could understand the personality of a person, like
Yeah,
there are some people who say like it's very short sentences. Some people are very like emotional, some people are very professional, and some people are too angry, whatever. So you could match the right salesperson to them,
that's
right?
true. Yeah,
That would talk in the same tone, or if they're angry, will make them more relaxed. It doesn't have to be the same tone. The matching tone. That's the
exactly.
right.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah, you could understand it, match it, cater to it. Yeah, and then that even, like, it becomes, yeah, to the matching of the person, and the bot could even cater. If you're talking with the bot could cater. Answer it this way if you're this persona. Answer it this way if you're
Yeah.
this persona. Yeah, that's very interesting. Yeah, totally.
Yeah, it's the same like when salespeople that really meet people and go and do real sales. They always say that it's like good to start a conversation with I know a sports team that both of you like or something like that. So I guess that sometimes you do know about that when, especially if it's a returning customer and you have some kind of a relationship with it. So I guess that it's something that you could integrate into the conversation kind of easily, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah. And it's funny, yeah, because like you said, some people, especially when dealing with bots, we've noticed really like, small talk, or just they'll chat a lot. They'll be very chatty. And then some people are, know it's a bot and just say, I don't like, there's no point of me having any kind of discourse with you. Just give me
Yeah,
the answer. So you can kind of, yeah, cater it based on that. Like for a sports team, for example, I could see, yeah, understanding what sports team and then it could drop that in the conversation depending, and then just say, no, this person does not want to talk to me about that, so I won't. Or like you said,
yeah,
when they're passing it to an agent, then they can collect some information from past conversations. And yeah, so yeah, lots of persona detection and likes, personality, things like that, I think could be totally helpful. And again,
yeah.
depending on whether to use it or not. So that's the trick.